What's up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button, and if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this conversation. I talked a little bit yesterday about Tasha K responding to Claudia, pretty much calling her a liar and saying that what she was addressing on Wine with Tasha K about the roast read session that Armon Wiggins did, and she was discussing Al and Claudia, which she has the right to do, just like they all do on TGIF. It's like, it's very comical to me when I see Claudia, not saying that people should disparage her in any way and then she shouldn't have the right to respond. And I get it. When Funky Dineva left the show, she was trying to save the show and also save the image of not just the show but herself as well. So when Funky Dineva got upset because when he initially left, when he initially was no longer there, he did a post. Claudia and Al wished him the best on camera, and he responded to that. But then when Claudia had Flame Monroe come on to the show to guest host, not in his spot, but they were doing guest host spots to see who was going to be the next person to sit in on the show, Funky Dineva really got pissed about that and went off on Claudia. So I understood her going around to talk about that. People were bringing her on their platform. She was doing interviews talking about that and whatever, and I get that. But having a show where you're talking about people who are trending and trending topics, then when you become one, you always want to respond. And let's just be fair. Tasha K has been the topic of conversation by a lot of people. And I get it. She's probably talked about so much that she doesn't even have the time to respond to everybody. But she also says, I understand that. I will become the topic sometimes. But she said, I don't have an issue giving people the real, addressing things, giving receipts if need be. But there's a lot of things that it's like, well, talk about me. I don't care. So anytime someone talks about Claudia, then she's got to respond to it. I just said, and I stand on this, if she had just not even said anything, I don't think anybody else would still be talking about it, like myself. So the reason why I wanted to talk about it again is because I did listen to Tasha K's response that she uploaded to the Tasha K Live app again. It was very detailed, very thorough. I'm not going to play any clips from it, but if you have not listened to it yet and you are not on the app and you want to check it out, I would suggest that you get on the app and subscribe and check it out, as well as the other stuff. But listen, Tasha K said Claudia was on Karen energy, but when she was sharing the things that Claudia was saying and kind of like being demanding, because she was showing the text messages. Oh my God, can't you just pick up the phone? Because I guess that was a time when Claudia was calling her and Tasha K was not available to speak. Leave a voicemail. Send a text message. Hey, whenever you get a chance, can you call me later? I want to tell you something or whatever. Or do like some people do that I can't stand. Send an essay text message if you really got to get it out. But Tasha K said she was on Karen energy. And when I saw Funky Dineva's post on Instagram to respond to what Tasha K said, I mean, I feel like he pretty much confirmed it, even though he tried to deny, a few things, because he said, Tasha K, I never wanted any sort of adversarial relationship with you or any other person on social media. I don't take digs, throw shots, or shade at you or any other YouTuber, and I honestly wish y'all would grant me the same courtesy. There is enough celebrity gossip out there for us not to be going at each other. That has been and will always be my position. Well, I'm not going to go there. With that being said, there are certain parts of your commentary that are flat out caps, not true, and speculative on your part at best. I've taken the liberty to correct those things. Outside of that, your commentary was pretty spot on. In all honesty, I am glad y'all are starting to see why it was so easy for me to walk away from this show. Thoughts? Well, here's my thoughts on that. I didn't watch every single episode of TGIF, but I've seen enough episodes to know that there definitely was tension between the three of them. But even with the tension, I really thought that Claudia and Al were friends, because they claim they have been friends for years. Now, people who are friends can have falling outs and they can grow apart, and I get all of that stuff. But when Funky Dineva was on the show, there were times, especially with certain topics, where Claudia, I did feel like she felt like she was being either ganged up on, or she wasn't even really able to express her point of view in all fairness, because Al and Funky were agreeing on the things that she was disagreeing on, especially when it came to LGBTQ topics. Let's just be clear. So I did feel like she really did need somebody else on the show, because when it started out with 4 people, and then it went down to 3 when Gary with the T left. And so Gary with the T, he's of the community as well. So maybe that was the time that they should have been looking for a 4th, where she was either going to have another female, or maybe just somebody else who's not in the community, because when it comes to those topics, she was pretty much on her own. And there was a time when certain topics, it would spill over into becoming a topic where they were discussing things, and that became a topic. Like when, what's her name? Chloe Bailey's sister. She was pregnant, and the topic was about that. But Funky Dineva went off on Chloe Bailey, saying she's ugly and she needs to wear makeup and I can't stand her, and she really ain't about that life, acting like she's going to do something to somebody, and some other things that she was saying in a little video that she did, responding to people speculating that her sister was pregnant. And Claudia was like, look, if she's pregnant or not, it's really no one's business unless she announces it. And, Al was like, well, she just needs to be honest, and she just needs to let us know she's pregnant. And this, and Funky Dineva was agreeing, and they were saying some other stuff, and it really got ugly. There were other topics too. And it became a subject so much so that Funky Dineva was forced to apologize. I'm not saying that Funky Dineva was some innocent little bunny in the situation that he needed to scurry away from the madness that was going on at TGIF. He definitely had his issues as well. But yeah, he may have had some gripes behind the scenes with Claudia also, and they were trying to work it out. But there were definitely times when he was calling her a hoe, and she slept with so many different people. He may not have said it in those ways, but he was definitely saying things like that, and saying it in a way where it was jokes and whatever. So I'm quite sure there were times when she got tired of that. People do get tired of people making jokes about them all the time, and they may try to have a good sense of humor or be what they call a good sport about it. But even the Bible talks about be careful when you're, doing things in jest, because a lot of times those jokes, they are done to that, they're saying things that they mean, and they're being mean about it, but they'll giggle and laugh behind it and say, oh, well, I was just joking. I'm just, where's your sense of humor? And it's like, I don't have a sense of humor when you're sitting here calling me a hoe all the time. And I'm not that. But I'm just saying, Tasha K was like, yeah, she was on that Karen energy, and now she's showcasing Karen energy by trying to call me a liar when I have the receipts, I have the text messages, you know what you said to me, and I'm not going to allow you to call me a liar. This time, I'm not standing for that. So when Funky Dineva said in his post that there are certain parts of your commentary that are flat out not true, I'm assuming he's talking about himself, and when it comes to contract negotiations and things like that. And she even responded to that in her response. She said, you may remember things differently, but I definitely remember you and I discussing your contract negotiations and me just sharing my thoughts on what I think you should do. But you may not have gone over the numbers. You may not have done this. You may not have done that, or don't really remember. But whatever. But when he says that her commentary was pretty spot on, who's looking like the liar at this point in time? So I say again, I'm happy that Funky Dineva decided to respond, because he could have just said, you know what, my name is Bennett and I ain't in it. Don't come to me. Don't call my name. Don't even ask my neighbor because I just don't want to have nothing to do with it. I've left that ship a long time ago. But Funky Dineva's messy too, because here's the thing. When Al called Funky, Al knew that he was on live because he said, you need to hear this on live. And then Funky Dineva saying, I'm live, Al. He's like, I don't give a bleep. But he knew he was on live. Because he called him, he was watching him, and he knew he was still live. But two, even with that being said, the reason why I said Funky Dineva's messy too is because just because Al called him, and I said this when I gave my first commentary, he could have opted to not answer the phone. He could have hit the little button which sends it to voicemail, or he could have hit the button which gives you those automatic text responses. And one of them, I think, says, I'll call you back later. Or it says custom. And he could have hit custom and said, N-word, I'm live. I'll talk to you after I'm done. I'm wrapping up. Or whatever. He chose to answer. And he may not have known what was going on, but he chose to answer. So with all of that being said, I'm happy that Tasha K did respond, because like I was saying, for me, it's the thing about the person is lying. And you're using what you think, the one up of, well, you know, she went to court for defamation. So you already know that she lies all the time. Like, that's the narrative that a lot of people like to put on her. Like, they just want to put a big L letter on her, the L word, liar. And Tasha K is like, no, I'm not lying. I don't need to lie about this. Like, why would I even need to do that? I'm telling the truth, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you don't want to look a certain way or whatever the situation may be. But you're not going to do this to me. Not with this. No, ma'am. But when Funky Dineva says, I never wanted any sort of adversarial relationship with you or any other person on social media, you may not want it, but you have it. And he got pissed because Tasha K had Flame Monroe on her platform to interview her, and Flame Monroe said things that he said, or he, she, we said about Funky Dineva, and that was in response to Funky Dineva getting pissed that they had Flame Monroe on TGIF. And even with that, I didn't think Claudia was wrong in that, because it's like the show must go on. They didn't owe Funky Dineva any loyalty to say, well, you know what? We know he doesn't like Flame Monroe, so we're never going to bring him on the platform. That's just not something that they owe to Funky Dineva, and Funky Dineva got upset with them about that. So it's not about wanting the adversarial relationships. It was how he chose to handle it. And at that point in time, he was like, I'm done with Tasha K. So anyway, it's a lot. I'm not going to do any deep dives on this stuff, but I just really wanted to talk about that because I did listen to the commentary again. So when Tasha K referenced how Al was making her look bad in front of production on a Zoom meeting, that makes sense in the Reed roast that Armon did for Al. When he said how he talks about everybody behind their back and goes out of his way to try to get people fired and get the show canceled. that definitely sounds like a Claudia thing that she shared with Armon, because Armon hasn't been there but a quick minute. Like, seriously, are we kidding right now? I just believe, based on the roast, that it was what happened. And then Tasha K came out with the receipts as proof. Just stand in it. And if Armon isn't going to be there very much longer, and she used him to say what she really felt and what she was really going through all this time, I'm not going to blame her, because it was his choice to do it, because I believe he also was feeling some type of way about Al too. But she's got let's just be honest, she's got the complexion for the protection. So if she did a read, even if it wasn't as low, as mean spirited, as straight to the point as what Armon did, she could have definitely done it and still been the moderator and, mainly the host of the show. They're not going to get rid of her over Armon. Like, seriously? So if I were Armon, I would not have done it if he values the show that much, because when he got the position, before he even got the position secured, he did a little YouTube press tour to talk about him guest hosting the show and asking people to tune in. He was on Storm's channel. He went on, who else? He went on Nick at Night, I think. A number of different people, I believe. He went on their YouTube channels to talk about him guest hosting and asking people to watch. And, so the numbers would be there. And he got the support. And he got the position. And then when he got the position officially, he did a live that he either put on private or took down, because I watched some of it, but I didn't see all of it. That's the one when Larry Reid super chatted him $500, and then he got up and he was twerking for him, which is what Larry Reid wants. But I digress. I felt like this just wasn't the way to go. So if the position isn't his much longer, then to be honest with you, he really doesn't have anyone but himself to blame. I wouldn't even blame Claudia for that, but I definitely don't think it was cool for her to use him as the conduit for the roast, seeing as she's the one that really has those feelings and has known him the longest. So anyway, guys, you let me know what you think about what Funky Dineva had to say. Tasha K saying that Claudia was on that Karen energy, and the receipts that she pulled out. And can Claudia even respond to this? Should she just let it go? Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.